I confronted Kenny for disrespecting me and my cousin, then catfished him, leaving him obsessed before revealing my true identity. I encountered a man named Kenny through an online game I played called Maplestory. We developed a friendship, but to be honest, I never truly appreciated him. He constantly boasted about himself, fabricated stories concerning his life and personality, but could not keep his lies straight. He labeled others as toxic over trivial matters, exhibited self-absorption, consistently complained, used my cousin as a free therapist, played the victim role better than anyone I encountered, acted entitled and defensive, behaved like a player, shifted blame onto others for all his issues, and more. He displayed numerous red flags, as anyone in his life eventually departed. I stopped playing Maplestory for quite a while, but one day I decided to return. He expressed excitement over my reappearance and approached my map to converse with me, only to find that I was already engaged with another friend, leaving him silent. I did not feel the need to inform him that I was logging off since he appeared to be away from his computer. The following day, I sent him a private message to inquire about something related to the game. He responded with terse replies and then vanished mid-conversation, never returning to clarify what had occurred or to apologize. Wasn't that petty? This individual took issue with the fact that I wasn't making enough effort to talk to him the day before. I asked him directly if he was upset, which he denied. However, from that moment onward, he consistently provided curt responses and never acknowledged me whenever I logged into the game, while he greeted everyone else, including someone who logged in just moments after I did. I offered him several chances before resorting to passive-aggressive comments aimed at him. I also noticed he began to ignore my cousin, even though she had done nothing wrong. In fact, she had listened to all his excessive, negative venting, as he essentially used her as a free therapist, complaining about how difficult he was to communicate with due to being from such a distinct major. Seriously, you're going to use my cousin as a tool to annoy me indirectly. Now that's too much. Furthermore, he frequently misspelled my name, which he had not done before, and disregarded everything my cousin and I expressed to him. You do not have the right to disrespect me or my cousin and expect to get away with it. Is that what you think you have plausible deniability? I don't think so. I composed a lengthy message filled with insulting remarks that struck deep before blocking him. Do not even attempt to think you can disrespect both me and Amy while believing we won't notice it, talking about how busy you are while seeking female attention in the game. Initially, I could understand your ex's paranoia regarding you cheating, but now it's clear it's because you are a disloyal individual seeking a new lady each day, just as everyone else indicated. You are a toxic person who plays the victim, convincing yourself that other women are the problem. It's no surprise you cannot maintain a real relationship, becoming ghosted or dropped by everyone. Just wait a few more months. Those women you're currently talking to will abandon you too. What's with the constant flirting with every woman you meet? Is it that you're so insecure and lack any real game that you resort to flirting with girls behind a screen for validation? It's amusing how you're such a coward online that you couldn't even confront Law when he approached you. You are clearly agitated if you keep mentioning him, asserting you don't know him while contradicting yourself by claiming you heard things about him. Are you truly that bad at lying? Speaking of which, you are terrible at it because the narratives you told Amy do not match what I was told. Saying you work part-time during the school year, then stating you don't work at all while discussing financial aid for graduate school when that doesn't exist. I logged into Amy's Discord, and seriously, do you ever stop complaining? You are so weak that you possess a layer of skin less than a flat piece of dust. You're so delicate that you can't handle even the smallest inconvenience without grumbling to others. You said you're shy. Where's the shyness when you pursue every pixelated woman in the game? I feel like I can't go a minute without spotting you trying to flirt. By the way, you should improve your approach by looking up what negging is, since that's your technique. However, it's ineffective. The only women who enjoy that behavior are insecure individuals, and I guess your energy attracts them precisely for that reason. You do not even look 6'2" in your photos. I think you misspoke and meant 5'2", and you are likely quite scrawny. What is with your paleness? Are you just sitting around gaming all day? Your lifestyle must be so sedentary that your blood circulation is impaired. I recommend you get some exercise beyond just sitting there gaming, especially considering the number of chins you'll likely accumulate from your quarantine weight gain. You must be thankful I am here, provoking you to boil with anger. Keep spamming, Siebes, every 5 minutes until you manage to convince yourself that's what you truly are. I also advise you to consume more alcohol to improve your pallid skin. Perhaps you will develop some Asian glow. Hopefully, you experience alcohol poisoning while at it because this world doesn't need you. It's no mystery why you seek so much attention logging into a game to boast about being drunk. It's because your parents essentially disowned you at birth, and everyone in your life disappears over time, much like how Amy and I are about to do to you. Good riddance. Summary of my message: I confronted him about disrespecting both myself and my cousin, called him out for being thirsty, toxic, a victim player who fails to maintain genuine relationships, and mentioned how he gets dropped by everyone. I also mentioned how he lacks confidence, is a coward, a poor liar, weak, and excessively complains, insulted his looks, pointed out his parents' neglect, and suggested he experiences alcohol poisoning. I wasn't finished. The sweetest revenge begins now. I created a new character, leveled it up significantly, had a friend assist me in purchasing attractive clothing for the character, and then intentionally ran into Kenny under a different identity. I sent him selfies of my friend and flirted heavily to ensnare his interest. I fabricated my personality to be precisely what I knew he preferred in women, and within roughly an hour, he was captivated. I told him he was exactly my type, asked him numerous questions about himself, engaged in playful banter, and more. He thought it was too good to be true, yet continued to communicate with me, praising my beauty and other compliments. I engaged in behaviors that suggested I was interested, yet I would also flirt with other men where he could clearly see it. He accused me of being a player multiple times, but any time he attempted to withdraw out of concern I was leading him on, I responded with all the right words to draw him back in. He became personal and disclosed many of his flaws, essentially opening up to me. He even revealed that I, Hannah, emotionally impacted him with the cruel essay I had sent. He asked repeatedly to call me, but I kept deferring, claiming I was shy but promising to call him soon. Eventually, I teased him, mentioning I was getting hot and bothered, which excited him immensely. He attempted to initiate a risque conversation and claimed he was literally turned on, but I left him hanging for hours before returning to apologize, asserting I would finally call him the next day. The flirting escalated, and he became attached, unable to go an hour without sending me multiple messages if I didn't respond. The day arrived when I was supposed to call him. I prolonged my absence from him for several hours, leaving him guessing about my whereabouts. Eventually, I logged onto Discord and changed my profile picture to one of myself, with a boyfriend, then told him that I was now in a relationship. He was furious, angrily claiming I misled him and insisting he suspected I was a player all along. I confronted him about his hypocrisy, then sent him over 5 screenshots of him flirting with various women, which he still denied and claimed was taken out of context. He became extremely emotional, expressing how he had trusted me and felt that we had a connection, only to discover that I was now suddenly in a relationship. He quickly fell into the victim role, seeking pity, stating he couldn't sleep because of our disagreement even though he had work the next day. I told him to go to bed, then exited the middle of our argument. He bombarded me with messages, stating that his greatest pet peeve was unresolved issues. The following morning, he said he struggled to focus at work due to what transpired. In essence, he continued to make pitiful remarks attempting to manipulate me into feeling guilty, but of course, that did not work. We hardly communicated after this, though he did still message my catfish persona occasionally. After a few days, I left him on read and ceased all communication with him permanently. Story 2. I wanted my nails done by a classmate, ended up struggling for 2 days, and when I asked to take them off, she got mad, face screaming in fear. I am unsure if this is the appropriate forum to share my story, but here I go. This will be a lengthy message as I want to include all the details, so I apologize in advance. I am currently attending cosmetology school, where I am studying nails as part of the curriculum. I had a classmate with whom I used to communicate frequently, spend lunchtime together, connect on all social media platforms, and even discussed the possibility of hanging out outside of school. I believed we were friends. Her primary focus in cosmetology school is nails. She offered to do my nails once she acquired the necessary supplies without mentioning any payment, which becomes significant later. Due to my mental health struggles, I had to take a 2-month break. During that period, she reached out to check on me a few times, asking if I was okay and when I would return to school, which is typical behavior among friends. I returned to school in September of last year, and she seemed thrilled that I was back. She brought up doing my nails again since she now had all the required materials. I agreed, and we planned to do my nails on a Friday. Throughout the week, she worked on the nails of several other girls and had even repeated nail sets for some of them 2 or 3 times since my return to school. I did not see or hear anything indicating that any of the girls paid her. I assumed she was doing nails for them out of friendship and to practice as a novice nail artist. Additionally, as students, we are not permitted to charge for services, especially within the school setting. When Friday arrived, we were set to begin my nails, but she unexpectedly decided to do another girl's nails first. I didn't mind too much, so we started on my nails a little before noon. She expressed her desire to create some Halloween-themed nails, but I indicated that I wasn't keen on festive nails. However, she was eager to proceed with the Halloween designs since it was October, and she had already completed several Halloween sets. A few days prior, I mentioned wanting a Hello Kitty-inspired nail set, and she showed me a cute Hello Kitty zombie design that I liked, so I agreed to it. We also decided on a duck nail shape, which is wider at the tip. I had never tried that shape before, so I was unsure of what to expect. Additionally, I usually keep my natural nails quite short, so I requested that my new nails be shorter. Unfortunately, she didn't seem to heed my request. When it was my turn to have my nails done, she was not very attentive and instead conversed with several other girls. I understood her desire to socialize, so I remained silent. However, it became increasingly frustrating as she frequently paused to chat, and I was getting annoyed but chose to remain non-confrontational, simply wishing for the process to be over. The entire process took 4 hours to complete. At first glance, the nails looked cute, but upon closer inspection, some were uneven, and some of the gel polish hadn't fully cured by the time she declared the nails finished. I later realized this, but I tried not to judge harshly since she was just starting out. Ultimately, I was happy to have my nails done, and they were generally appealing. We wrapped up the nail session just as the school day concluded. Once I got home, I quickly discovered that I couldn't fully close my fingers due to the nail shape. Perhaps that was my fault since I had chosen the shape. However, I also realized that the length of the nails made personal grooming difficult, leading to discomfort, particularly because I drink a lot of water and coffee, causing me to frequently visit the bathroom. The extended length was uncomfortable over the next couple of days, and I grew concerned about handling tasks at my job. I work in fast food and need to open thick plastic packaging for frozen food, which I doubted I would manage with the nails. After 2 days with them on, I decided I needed to remove the nails. I returned to school the next day and waited a few hours, feeling anxious about telling her I wanted to take off the nails. I had seen her react angrily to minor issues before, so I was apprehensive. Nevertheless, I approached her and explained my reasons for wanting to remove the nails, assuring her I liked them. However, her attitude changed immediately. She raised her voice, accusing me of wasting her time and materials, then demanded I pay her. Out of fear, I agreed, as I have a history of PTSD and anxiety stemming from a past relationship involving yelling and violence. I was distressed because I am on a limited income from disability and my part-time fast food job. Having recently paid my bills, I was left with no money and even had a negative balance in my account. I told her I couldn't pay her at that moment, but would when I had funds. She insisted she wouldn't remove the nails and to simply deal with them. Eventually, I found another classmate willing to help me take them off. When I got home, I discussed the situation with my sister and dad, and the following day with another classmate. They all concurred that I shouldn't have to pay her since she didn't request payment beforehand, and none of the other girls had either. They felt her response had also been rude. I shared their view as well. This is a cosmetology and nail school where students regularly provide each other with services, often at no cost, especially among friends. However, I am also an artist who enjoys drawing stylized portraits of attractive women. Before she had even started on my nails, I had begun a drawing for her, similar to ones I had done for other classmates, intending it as a surprise. Despite my feelings about her reaction, I wanted to complete the drawing, as I was close to finishing it, and planned to give it to her regardless. I invest considerable time into my art, ensuring the sketches and color blending with my expensive Prismacolor colored pencils are smooth and well executed. Drawing hands and swords can be challenging, especially without a ruler, which I don't own. I enjoyed the creative process, even though it took a lot of my time. The following week, I brought the drawing to school and presented it to her, and she adored it. She then asked me to create another poster-sized drawing of her with a few specifications, since I had the appropriate paper. I agreed, feeling guilty about the earlier incident. At this point, I also informed her that I could pay her the money I owed, and she responded, "Just send me $10 for supplies." I overreacted anyway, so I did. I dedicated the next few days to working on the poster-sized drawing, which took about 7 to 8 hours of drawing and coloring, in addition to the 3 hours spent on the initial drawing. When I brought it to school, she admired it. However, she has since avoided talking to or even looking at me since the day I expressed my desire to remove the nails. This has affected me deeply because I believed we were friends prior to this conflict. I acknowledge that perhaps I cannot expect a classmate to maintain a friendship after a 2-month absence. A few days after I wanted to take the nails off, she began posting on Snapchat about how she does nails to make money and for no other reason. It is worth noting that she has a history of getting angry with classmates and threatening physical violence over minor issues, in my opinion. Consequently, I have come to the conclusion that I do not wish to continue a friendship with her. Now, I feel that the time I invested, along with the 2 drawings, my skills, and the cost of my colored pencils, should be worth a fair exchange along with the $10. Yet she continues to avoid me unless I directly approach her with questions, 4 months since the incident. Here lies my dilemma. My classmates have developed their skills and are charging for their services, while I am left wondering if I should have just accepted the situation and paid her the full amount she expected. However, we had never discussed payment beforehand, unlike my experiences with fellow classmates. She only brought up payment after I expressed the wish to remove the nails. The drawing I completed for her took much longer than the 4 hours she spent on my nails, nearly triple the time. In another instance of skill exchange, one of the aestheticians provided me with a facial, and in return, I applied tooth gems to her teeth. This reinforced my belief that skilled trades should be acceptable. I realize this situation occurred quite some time ago, but her continued behavior towards me has caused me to contemplate it frequently due to my heightened anxiety and paranoia related to my mental health. I tend to overanalyze every situation I have encountered. So, am I in the wrong for expecting free nails when my other classmates have not charged for their services? Some girls still do hair without charge. I understand that some artists enjoy skilled trades, and perhaps she is not that type of person, but am I wrong for thinking a trade could be acceptable or that I could expect a complimentary service? I apologize for the lengthy message. I merely wanted to provide all the details. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Story 3. My mom is flying to meet a prisoner she met as a pen pal, while my dad's heart breaks alone at home. What is happening? WTF. My mother, aged 46, and my father, aged 47, have been married for 23 years and are the only couple in our family who have not experienced divorce. However, over the past year, my mother has been communicating with what I believe to be an American inmate. We reside in England, through a pen pal program. What began as exchanging letters quickly escalated to phone calls. I found her intense interest somewhat odd, but I felt it was not my position to judge her. Then, she began leaving family dinners to take calls from this inmate, and it was heartbreaking to see my father looking dejected as my mother's meal went untouched. This became a common occurrence, and my father often told her she could simply inform them that she was eating and would call back later, but she never hung up. One day, my brother informed me that he witnessed our mother applying makeup to speak with this inmate. She usually only puts on makeup when she is going out, and she had no plans to go out that day. Although this seemed peculiar, I thought perhaps she was just experimenting. Then she started using headphones during the calls. I would frequently overhear her laughing from the study, and it made me feel quite uneasy. She eventually began locking the study door and playing ambient music to muffle her voice. Meanwhile, my father's sadness appeared to deepen. My mother then expressed a desire to fly to America alone, which my father shared with me while driving me back to university after the Christmas break. I considered this to be incredibly irresponsible, as I have had to guide her through airports in the past, despite her being the adult. Now it's been confirmed that she is departing for America tomorrow and will be away for a week. To begin with, my father is very vulnerable at this moment and has indicated he does not know what will happen next between them. He also lives in a remote area, an hour away from our other family members and even further away from his friends. With both my brother and I at university, I am concerned about him potentially spiraling. He is not the type to easily open up about his feelings, so if the situation worsens, I genuinely worry for his well-being and wish to support him. However, I also have my own set of issues to manage. Then, there is the matter of my mother's safety. Not only would she be particularly vulnerable on her own in America, but she also tends to enter a highly touristy mindset, and her small stature makes her an easy target. Most troubling, if she is traveling to America to meet this inmate, I am unsure if he is incarcerated or released. How can she be certain he will not harm her? She has informed me that she is unaware of his convictions due to the program's policies. My concern is that she could be seriously injured or unwittingly dragged into illegal activities. I have no way to discuss these issues with her face to face and am uncertain how she would react if I were to inquire about them via text. She has been rather gullible in the past, and I have had to educate her about scams, so it is conceivable that she was promised something. The fact that she never provides a clear explanation for her interest in speaking with this inmate suggests to me that she is aware she might be doing something wrong or believes she will be judged. It's also possible the inmate has instructed her to maintain silence. I fear I may be overthinking this, but I genuinely see no potential benefits arising from this situation. I strive to see the good in people, yet I struggle to construct a scenario from the evidence that confirms she is not engaging in some form of infidelity. I am uncertain if I need to prepare for a drastic change or intervene. If her life is at stake, it could also present significant legal complications for me regarding matters she is assisting me with. Moreover, she is my mother, so I do not harbor hatred toward her, and she has not directly wronged me in any significant way. If my father begins to spiral on his own, I am uncertain how to provide support or where the boundaries lie. I truly care about him, but I must also prioritize my mental health. I assured him I would be there for him, but I did not make any promises beyond that. I have confided in a friend, hoping she can help me assess whether I am overreacting, but I genuinely wish to gather various perspectives on this situation without burdening my entire friend group. In summary, my mother is preparing to travel to America, potentially to meet an inmate with whom it appears she is emotionally involved, and I am anxious about my father being left alone and isolated from family. Update: 1. My father has already arranged to move out, with assistance from his mother. He told me that when he informed my mother of his plans, she barely reacted and continued with her usual behavior. I managed to engage in a conversation with her. However, she seems to evade acknowledging what I am saying and simply keeps insisting she'll be safe. She is aware that I know about the situation, but I suspect she is avoiding it. I have not yet revealed the full extent of my concerns and did not have the opportunity before she disconnected. I presume she is on the airplane now. I messaged her to ask that she inform me upon landing so that we can discuss this further, and I can express that, even if she does not see it, her actions seem extremely perilous, and I genuinely fear for her safety. Now, I must wait for her to land. I am relieved that my father is taking proactive measures and has informed his family. He is likely to return to their village, bringing him closer to his mother and brother. Given the urgency of the situation, as soon as she reacts to messages, I will convey that I am nearly certain she is in danger and would prefer to help her navigate this situation safely rather than casting blame that could result in harm. To those advising me to toughen up, I am doing my best to avoid pushing her away because if I do, she may refuse to communicate, which could jeopardize her safety if I am unable to reason with her. I must also note that she may have her motivations for remaining there, but there is no way she would leave our dog behind. He is her baby. Therefore, I hope that is enough of an incentive for her to consider returning. However, I understand that if she is truly entrenched in this situation, she may not be thinking clearly. Currently, I know the hotel where she will be staying, and according to my father, it is merely 15 minutes away from a prison. I will keep in contact with my father, who is attempting to determine if she has disclosed her plans to anyone else. I will also ensure she speaks with me once she has landed. This time, I will not hold back and will make certain she comprehends the risks involved. If she ignores this, I will express that I genuinely fear she might face severe consequences. I would likely inquire whether she believes it is reasonable to abandon a marriage of over 20 years for a convict. I will also want to know what the inmate has been discussing with her and whether he has made any promises. At this point, I can only anxiously wait for a response. Thank you for your insights. I truly wish I had begun addressing this situation before she left, but I cannot change the past. I will provide updates when I hear from her. Update 2, she responded to my message, acknowledging the seriousness of the situation, stating that she genuinely thinks she is in danger and that we need to discuss this. I know I am not quite articulating everything, but I am reluctant to risk her blocking me. This morning, she replied with a simple, "No problem," before stating she would rest before catching a train. That response seems to me to be avoidant. I have now pressed her for a yes or no regarding a constructive conversation, and I emphasized that this needs to happen as soon as possible. If she fails to give me a direct answer, I will likely reveal everything I know, and she can respond as she sees fit. I am exhausted and feel like I am speaking to a child attempting to escape accountability despite clear evidence of wrongdoing. I apologize if I appear naive in hoping she would want to talk. I appreciate your understanding given the high stakes I am facing. Additionally, my father informed me that she has not disclosed her actions to anyone except him. I will not hesitate this time, and I will share updates when she responds. Update 3, my mother has finally responded and agreed to have a conversation, and she consented to speak via phone. Since she is communicating through online channels to reach overseas, I assume she is using mobile data for this conversation. As she mentioned, there is no Wi-Fi on the train. I'm uncertain of the accuracy. She asked when we would be chatting since it depends on her schedule. I have communicated that it is best to do so as soon as she is free, uninterrupted, because I need her to grasp my concerns in one go, even if it results in a 2-hour phone call. She has not read this latest message yet, and she became inactive just before I sent it. This is a noteworthy step forward, and I feel a sense of optimism that she is showing some interest. Now, once again, I must wait. Story 4. I ended my relationship when Thomas joked about bullying a classmate. I left him hanging on his birthday. Payback felt justified. I am not sure if this qualifies as a revenge, but here is my experience from a few years ago. I, 26 years old at the time, had recently begun dating Thomas, 28 years old, and the relationship appeared promising. He was a kind man, well-educated and quite intelligent with good looks. After 7 weeks of dating, he invited me and 2 of his childhood friends, let's refer to them as Alex and Bart, for a lengthy 29th birthday celebration weekend at his father's country house in a quaint French town. His father was going to be present as well, and I was eager to meet everyone. On day 1, Friday, everything is enjoyable. I connect well with Thomas's father, a thoughtful and intelligent man. Day 2, Saturday, after a delightful day, we have a gathering in the garden with neighbors, including some of Thomas's friends. After a few hours and many drinks, a group of individuals congregate around a small campfire and start reminiscing about their childhoods. This is where things take a turn for the worse. Initially, the stories were innocent and silly, as one would expect. However, Thomas and his friends began recounting truly disturbing tales. Specifically, they shared an account of how, when they were around 14 or 15 years old, they found it amusing to bully a classmate named Arthur, a very isolated and timid boy, for nearly 6 months. They made jokes, called him names, and engaged in similar cruel behavior. As if that wasn't enough, they created a fake female profile on MSN Messenger, a messaging platform we used in the early 2000s, and spent months communicating with him under this false identity, flirting and constructing a fictitious relationship with the poor boy. Some classmates were in on the joke, and it ultimately became a cruel trick at Arthur's expense. They used images of Bart's actual cousin, and the boy genuinely believed he had an online girlfriend with whom he even shared confessions and love messages. Eventually, they grew tired of the game and arranged a false meeting in real life, asking Arthur to take a 2 or 3 hour bus ride while wearing an Elmer the Elephant T-shirt, a private joke. Unsurprisingly, no one was there to meet him, and it is uncertain how long he waited alone. If Arthur hadn't already grasped what was unfolding, he learned the truth the following day at school when Thomas and Bart divulged the story to everyone and even shared the love messages Arthur had written. The poor boy stopped attending classes and apparently changed schools, and it is easy to imagine how traumatizing this experience must have been for him. Do you think Thomas, Alex, and Bart felt any remorse for their actions? Not in the least. They displayed absolutely no regret, especially Thomas and Bart. They continued making jokes about it and even seemed to lament that they were not skilled enough in their cruelty to persuade Arthur to send nude or suggestive photos. I cannot even begin to imagine the consequences had he done so. To say that my discomfort was profound would be a significant understatement. I was completely horrified and started to loathe Thomas more than anything. I was not the sole person who was shocked. Thomas's father, who overheard the conclusion of the story, had a look of utmost disappointment in his eyes. Unfortunately, his foolish son was too intoxicated to notice. I left the party immediately afterward and returned to the house. That night, I could not sleep at all. My mind was preoccupied with the evening's events and how Thomas continued to find the situation humorous. I heard him come to bed around 4 a.m., but I pretended to be asleep. Day 3, Sunday, was the actual birthday, and the original plan was for me to take Thomas on a one-on-one fancy surprise lunch date nearby, after which we would rejoin the group for a late afternoon celebration. Instead, I awoke very early on Sunday morning, quietly gathered my belongings, and went to the train station alone, catching a direct train back to Paris. I chose to send a message to Thomas, wishing him a happy birthday, and informing him to meet me at a specific location 1 hour from his home for a surprise. I mentioned I needed to leave a bit early to ensure everything was arranged perfectly. I randomly selected the location using Google Maps to save time. Thomas read the message around 10 a.m. when he woke up. He eagerly replied, stating that he would adhere strictly to the instructions. When he arrived at noon, I told him to wait a bit longer due to a slight delay. I then instructed him to meet me at a restaurant that was a 30-minute drive from the original location. By 1:15 p.m., when he reached the restaurant, I texted him that I was on my way and would arrive in 20 minutes, assuring him he would comprehend the reason for the wait when he saw me. I also asked him to order some food and the most expensive bottle of wine on the menu. Around 1:30 p.m., he began calling me repeatedly and sent numerous anxious texts. After 45 minutes, I responded, in French, "So, how does it feel to have people toy with your emotions?" Following that, I ceased all communication. I allowed him to call and text the entire afternoon without replying. At one point, an unknown number called me. It was his friend Alex, inquiring about the situation and lamenting that Thomas's birthday was entirely ruined because of my actions. I simply replied, "This is a very small form of payback for what you did to Arthur. Tell Thomas to stop contacting me," and hung up. I subsequently blocked them. I felt guilty all evening as I had begun to feel a connection to Thomas at that time. In the following days, a mutual friend called to tell me that my reaction was entirely irrational and unjust, proclaiming that it was not my place to punish someone for actions they committed in their adolescence. They insinuated to me that there were more mature ways to handle the situation and labeled my behavior as completely insane. Only a few individuals supported my actions. The majority seemed to view me as callous. Thomas attempted to make amends and win me back for several months afterward, but I never replied to any of his messages. I do not regret my actions. I simply hope that Arthur, who should now be around 35 or 36 years old, is doing well. Edits. I truly did not anticipate receiving such an overwhelming number of reactions and comments. As expected, I recognize that not everyone agrees with my actions. However, I am pleasantly surprised by the abundance of supportive messages. Thank you. Regarding Thomas's father, he was one of the few individuals who understood my perspective. He reached out to me shortly after the incident to discuss a separate matter. I needed to provide him with some recommendations about something, and was already informed about everything. He did not speak poorly of his son, but I could clearly sense his disappointment. He mentioned that he had been unable to sleep the night of the party due to what he heard. He expressed that he appreciated meeting me and expressed remorse that I was no longer with his son, while also stating that he understood my reasons. He never tried to persuade me to reconcile with Thomas. This man truly exhibited the qualities of a gentleman. I am unaware of Arthur's current circumstances. I do not even know his last name. I believe that even if I had known it, I would have refrained from contacting him for fear of forcing him to relive memories he likely wishes to forget. I genuinely hope he has become a confident man, and that he continues to like Elmer the elephant.